want y'all to know Aaron is not breathing right now.
Hello, everyone. What's going on, everyone? And welcome to my new show. Okay, it's time. This is a show about the gay stories of everyone. Like, everyone has a story. Okay, I'm actually not that type of gay in real life. Yes, I am. Who am I kidding? Today I have Mr. Dontae Iverson. He is, when I say this guy right here, I said I wanted to create a show that I could actually talk about this guy and really dive deep into his life. And I know that I have friends that I don't really talk to a lot about their story, and I realized that I haven't really heard a lot of stories about gay lifestyles. Like, what was your upbringing like? What was, this? What did you go through? Was it fun? Was it great? Was it accepting? Was it not? Did you encounter abuse? I really wanted to tackle that, and I felt like it's time. So I chose to do this show, which is just a raw conversational format, just like Perspectives Corner. However, that's the set back there. But this is going to be centered around everyone and everything gay. It's going to be LGBTQ plus, community friendly, and us only. Because our representation matters, and I would love to be one of those people that bring more awareness and more focus on us. Because we have stories. We have a lot of things that you may or may not know about our upbringing that causes us to have a very tough life. A lot of times we have to endure and fight through so much to get to where we are. Now we're about to dive deep in with my new guest, Mr. Dontae Iverson. So tell them a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I am Dontae Iverson. I'm based here in Atlanta. While we're filming this, am I looking at you? Am I looking at them? Can I just look? This is a conversation between us. I don't have to look there, do I?
You can look at them if you want to, but
Okay, cool.
Whenever.
Well, yeah, I based here. I've been here for about 6 years now. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I have a lot of siblings. I'm one of, by birth, 7. I'm one of 8. And then I have another set of 8 siblings. One is now passed. So I have a very big family. I was adopted into another branch of the family, which gave me an additional 8 siblings who were like a little younger than us now when I was born. So I have a wide range of people in my family. So.
And when you say us.
What did I say?
A little younger than us.
Yeah.
What? How old
they were in their early 20s when I was born.
Okay.
So that's what I said, they're under our age group because you're 26, yes?
Oh, wow. Thanks. I'm 29.
It was a courtesy. No, I'm saying they were because my siblings' ages ranged as well. There were 8 of them, so I think the oldest one is now maybe 53, 52.
Okay.
So my siblings are my birth parents' ages. So that's just the gap that was there when I was born. I literally was born and then shifted to that side of the family with nephews and nieces who were already 10 years old.
Because he could be the baby. So
yeah.
Now he's not. Now he's.
Yeah, definitely not the baby.
He's not going to say his age. It's okay, y'all.
I'm 30, by the way. 30 years young.
Okay. Cool. I didn't know we were so close. No, I'm just playing. So, okay. So, about the show, I really want to tell your story. So, if we go back to, you coming out of the womb, what was your first thought of this world?
Picture it, Thursday, November 8th, 1990, Tampa, Florida, on the banks of the Tampa Bay River. It was a gloomy day. About 7:43 p.m., Lisa LaShawn Iverson had to pop, and out I came.
And so what was it like when you were born? When you came out, what happened?
Well, interestingly enough, I don't this is the first time actually, like, I think I've ever recorded this type of conversation, because people who know me know, like, my upbringing, they know my, situation. And plus, my mom's comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it, we've had our talks about it. So,
horrible friend.
Reasons why I was adopted, just days after I was born. My mom was going through a lot. Really, she was just in the midst of a lot of drugs, a lot of in and out with my birth father, her then, husband. So it was just like, I was born in a very dark time for her. So my complications, it was so bad, she could not get me. They found drugs in my system. I was what you call, quote unquote, crack baby at that point. So there were so many drugs in my system, birth defects, just shit going sideways. They would not release me to her. And her next of kin, which was my grandmother, couldn't get me because she was busy with my older 3 siblings, who were only 8, 7, and 6 at the time. So there was no way, that she could get me. So it was like, at this point, it's like Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, and they're like, listen, if someone doesn't come and get this child, at that point, I'm technically a ward of the state. So I'm not being released to anybody. I'm just sitting in the hospital, crying and being fed. Which is not too different from what I do when I go to hotels. I should probably book into one soon. Either way, just there, and they pretty much, I guess, a message went out to the family like, hey, Lisa's baby is at the hospital. We don't know what's going to happen. They're saying if we don't get to him, if one of us doesn't get to him, he's going to be sent into the system, and we may not see him again. So my older sister just above me, Pinky, that's her nickname. Our nicknames stick like glue. Like, once we have a nickname in the family, that's what it is. But her name's Alicia. She was coming home from school, and she was with my great aunt, who's my mom. And she was like, let's go, Auntie, can you please go see him? Because I think she hadn't even seen me yet. She just knew her little brother was in the hospital, and she wanted to see him. So she's like, Auntie, can we please go see him? Can we please go see him? So she gets my mom to take her to the hospital. They see me. My mom sees me. And then she's like, okay. So she goes back to my dad. And she's like, we got to go. Let's go see the boy. So they go back to the hospital. And I think that Monday or Tuesday, like, they just bring me home. And I'm not sure if it was ever supposed to be a temporary situation, but I think they just knew from that day, like, I wasn't going anywhere. I was there. So that was that situation. So that's the birthing. That's the beginning.
A lot about your birth. Listen, when I was born, I don't remember anything until like far after. But he remembers things that happened when.
These are stories that I'm told. Like, this is like because when they're explaining. They gotta tell the kid, like, so this is why, I grew up normally just knowing, like, oh, that's my mom, this is my sister, that's my sister. Like, people saying, wait, what, how? I'm like, well, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so explaining it is always an interesting situation.
So at what point did you realize that you were a little bit different and you were not attracted to women per se? That's
weird, because I was always kind of attracted to girls, like, at least the first 10, 11 years. Like, what was weird was, like, I didn't know until, like, I got negative reactions to it. Like, I was a very flamboyant child. I loved Disney. I loved fairies and the whimsical, and I was literally like a little firecracker fairy just running around everywhere. I was bad as hell, too. But, like, I was, articulate at a young age. The nicknames were either white boy, gay boy, or demon child, because I fluctuated. I had a lot of behavioral issues at a young age. So, yeah, I knew externally, like, the way I come off to other people at a young age before I even paid attention to what was going on inside. Because I literally would get ridiculed so much about, like, why you walking like that? Why you always bouncing around? Why you dancing like? It was like, Tay, don't do that. Tay, why you doing this? Tay, why you doing that? And it was always because the way I expressed myself was very much more so feminine. That's just what naturally came to me, like, to how, when things happened, I was a very soft-spoken kid, didn't do too much, So, of course, your parents pick up on these things. So that was my first outward experience. Like, okay, cool. Like, okay, people tripping. My first inward experience had to be about, like, maybe 12, summer camp, which is really just a daytime at the park, a recreation facility. I had this friend, his name was Angelo, and we were, like, inseparable from, like, day one. We literally did everything together. All the field trips, all the activities, because we were the same age, inseparable. And I just thought it was normal, because I was like, oh, that's my best friend. Like, right now, like, this, we be cool. Like, we just But it was like definitely I was thinking about him a lot. It was like serious. Like I was like, I really like him. And I didn't know how to like deal with that. Because at the same time, they were trying to get me with this little girl named Ashanti. Beautiful girl. Sweetheart.
And I bet he wish he was with Ashanti now because she's a big star. No, okay.
You're hilarious. I can't. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that was my first. I think that's when it first hit. I was like, I'm thinking about this guy a lot because this when I'm 12 and I know what's going on with my cousins. I'm seeing like I started paying attention to like a lot of guys because they say you're going through puberty and these things are supposed to happen. So you're constantly like comparing yourself to the next guy. Like, am I growing okay? Am I supposed to be like, my voice supposed to be getting deep enough yet? Or, you know, they talking about the girls, they doing stuff with girls already. I'm like, and I'm not urging to do it. So that was my second clue. I was like, I'm not necessarily trying to rush into anything like that. So I think that's when, you know, between elementary and sixth grade is when I started kind of like noticing. I was like, oh, so this could be a situation. It was far in denial, but I was like, this could probably be a thing.
So we're going to take a pause here because I'm pretty sure that everybody wants to know a little bit more about his story. But before we do that, was Ashanti singing at that time? Or?
Boy, at that time, Ashanti was literally always on time with Ja Rule.
Okay.
Yeah, this is summer 2003.
So she was cheating on you. That's why you didn't like her. So do you think that if... No. Something stop.
I just think had she just introduced me to Ja a little earlier, we probably would have been better friends because me and Ja would have been great friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe that it is that Ashanti, but if it is, then I really hate that I'm just now hearing about this on camera. We are about to take a break and then we'll be right back. I'm going to do this again.
You are a bitch. I was like, really, Aaron? Really? Oh, Lord.
I'ma just leave, bruh. Nah, I can't forget it. Yo, name it 11.
Should've left your ass in 2020.
I really should have left your ass in
Gave you my all and you just played around with it like a fool. Now my mind is gone, I'm all alone. And by the phone, just watching home. As though I don't want to admit it. Should've left your ass in 2020. After all the years I... Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with my guest host, Dontae Iverson, and I am so excited that he has come here to just speak a little bit about his upbringing and his lifestyle growing up gay. And when he found out, we were just at the point of him with famous singer Ashanti, which was definitely not her. It was someone else named Ashanti.
Who was actually 12 years younger.
12 years younger than Ashanti. And so we're gonna pick back up where we left off. I'm gonna try not to interrupt and ask about Ashanti again.
But yeah, well, we picked back up summer 2003, and that's when everything kind of like started to like, I won't say manifest, but definitely become prevalent. Like, okay, I'm developing, or at least getting a better sense of my personality and who I am. So yeah, that was that. Middle school, definitely continue. I literally had a thing for like, I remember having a thing for like white girls in elementary school, and then it was Latina girls in middle school, all the way through 8th grade. Things changed in 8th grade. Are we still in the whole developmental part? Yeah, that's where we are. Things changed in the 8th grade. There was this white boy there, and for some reason, I had the deepest infatuation with him. And I was like, well, this is interesting. This has never happened before.
So you just kicked the other dude to the curb?
I mean, that was at that point, 2 years had passed, and like, unfortunately, after that summer, we never really got to see each other again.
Okay.
You know, keep in mind for our younger audience viewers out there, cell phones weren't a thing like that. They were around, but I was 12 and I didn't have a cell phone. We had the house phone, and you know, his mom was like real strict, like crazy strict. And, 12-year-olds didn't exchange numbers like that.
So
We wrote letters in
anything
school.
happened between you two, or you
No,
all were just
we
friends?
were just, it was like Luca.
Wow.
If you've ever seen Luca.
Yeah.
It was like a bromance for real. He hasn't seen this, okay.
I have seen it.
It was a real
It's a fish
tight.
boy.
Yes, fish boy. Pretty much the boys are inseparable. Like, we were just inseparable. We never, like, I never thought to step out of like line or anything. It was just the fact that I just knew I liked being around this boy. That's, but I knew I was like thinking about him a lot. And then one day I was like, ooh. Okay.
So fast forward to your
Fast
little white boy that you were speaking of.
Yes, fall 2004. Yes. Just got to middle school. Performing arts middle school at that point. So his name was Corey. Yeah, so his name was definitely Corey. Tall kid, taller than me. Like skater type of dude. So clearly, like, I'm looking back on it now, I was like, what were you going through? But I think it was just, I don't know, I can't explain it, but that's just where my attraction went. And then I just remember later in the year, I had a full-on crush on one of my friends. And that's when it was like no going back. I was like, this is even, I don't know if it's like just a part of me or if this is a phase, but having dreams about him, talking to him every day. Yeah, it was crazy.
So what caused you to know that was a thing? Like, was it someone around you that told you what being gay was, or?
I mean, you grow up knowing, like, we know, we didn't see it a lot, but, kids are aware. We were aware of a lot at a young age. Mm-hmm. One thing about, at least in my upbringing, my parents, like, were candid about some things, but you overhear conversations, and I'm like the biggest ear hustler there is, so I'm here. These ears are this size at 7. So I hear shit. I always heard them talking, like, you know what things are. You know what? It wasn't like, I was not a sheltered child. I was sheltered, but I wasn't like, I knew what it was. So that's aware of like what gay was. I knew what gay was. So when I saw that was happening, I was like, oh shit, maybe I'm bi. Maybe it's like, maybe it's just a phase. Maybe it's something I'm just, interested in for right now. Mm-hmm. That's what I was praying it was. I was hoping it was that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, because that whole situation of the denial, pushing out phase is a whole other chapter.
Right.
Yeah.
So when did it become to the point where you were like, okay, well, I know for sure, like, I'm gay, and now do you say I'm coming out, or what do you like what was that like, getting to that next chapter that says, okay, I'm gay? And
well, that chapter just got here, honestly, like in the last 5 years. Although it's been there for a long time, it's just like, now it's like, I really think nothing of it to just, oh yeah, I'm gay, by the way. It's not like hey, I'm Dontae, you're a gay friend, or you're a gay acquaintance. It's not it at all. But for me, it was like, coming out wasn't like a thing. It wasn't even an announcement that I had to make, that I got to make, because my situation happened in spurts. It happened in multiple conversations, in multiple incidents. And the conversation was never like a positive, like, just talk to us, what's going on? Mm-hmm. It was just like both the first few conversations were with my oldest brother, Marcus. I remember I was in 8th grade. I was in the chorus at the time, so we did a lot of all state, all county chorus conferences. We just go and sing. And one was out towards his house. He lived out in the suburbs, and just so happens that one of the schools I was doing at that weekend was literally 5 minutes away from his house. So I went to stay with him for the weekend. And I guess my parents had talked to him because I had a best friend in 8th grade named Kevin. And Kevin came out to us when it was the weekend of my birthday. So we were all about to turn 14. Me and him were turning 14 that month, because I'm on the 8th, he's on the 21st. And he came out to us while we were, at one of our conferences. And I was like, okay, wow, okay, well, that's cool. And of course, like, I told my mom, like, I didn't tell her, like say, oh my God, my friend. I was like, oh yeah, my friend, he is. Like, it wasn't a thing to me. Even at the age, I was like, I thought nothing of it, but that was still my best friend. So I guess my mom knew we talked every day, we would hang out at school, so she told my brother. I guess that was the first concern. So this is like not like a conversation of, oh, let's just see what's going on. It's a conversation of, talk to your brother, So that whole conversation was awkward. And then we had...
So how did the conversation go?
The conversation was like, your parents are worried about, we hear you like you hanging with, your friends. So he asked me about my friends first. And I was like, got this friend, we all kind of sing together in the choir. It's like, so what about the Kevin friend? I was like, oh yeah, it's my best friend, Kevin. And he asked, was he gay? And I was like, yeah, Kevin, he came out to us like, a few months ago. And the conversation went like, you need to be careful. They're really friendly people. It was almost like a conversation of like telling your kids don't talk to strangers or pedophiles or predators.
Wow.
And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, bro, like, it's okay, whatever. Like, and that was just then. But keep in mind, I'm very soft-spoken at this time. I hate conflict and I hate being put on the spot or like I'm being questioned. So I do this. I close in so deeply. So that first time it happened, I was like, I shut up. I was like, oh, okay, I don't really talk too much. The conversations would then play out a few more times throughout high school. At this point, we got into like maybe 10th grade. And of course, I'm still hanging around all the artsy kids. I'm now at the performing arts high school in my city. So we're doing a lot of stuff. I'm always hanging out with my friends in rehearsals. Granted, I'm not doing anything with these friends, but conversations come up again. Like, were you molested? What's going on? Are you this way? Like, I don't know why, you're a handsome young man. Like, the conversations were always like accusatory, never like, is this what's going on? Like, I remember conversations as early as 11 years old when I think one of my friends may have said something to my birth mom. She was like, well, baby, whatever it is, I love you anyway. And at 11, I'm like, I didn't say the B word, but I was like, what? I was like, who told you that? Why are you even like, indulging an 11-year-old on? But at the time, that conversation was actually, I look back on it, I appreciated that conversation until, years later, and these conversations kept happening. So that's why I say my coming out wasn't like an announcement. Mm-hmm. It was one awkward conversation after the next until the last conversation was when I got back from my first year in college. And I pretty much told, I didn't tell anything, I'm sorry. I was going to a dance class. I'm a dancer, so I dance all the time. Go to a dance class.
That I do know.
Yes, right. Ashanti, he's learning. But yeah, I got back from the dance class, and I think I was using my brother's laptop just before. I was on Facebook asking my friends, because I went to my friend's Manny's class to take his class. And my brother says, while I'm waiting to leave, he texts me saying, hey, I saw something. I can't believe it. We got to talk when you get home. I'm like, okay, who killed who this time? I'm like, okay, let me see. I'm thinking the family's in trouble, like whatever. And he tells me that he saw some conversation or something about me talking to some boy. And I know for a fact, I said, the last boy I talked to was in March. So I'm trying to figure out, we're in May. Bitch, what did you see? If someone was in my DMs and you didn't let me know, then that's on you. And I probably owe him a conversation because he probably cock blocked me that night. Either way, for that week, from Tuesday, when this happened, I have a very vivid memory on certain things. From Tuesday, when this conversation initially happened, to Saturday morning, I barely spoke 2 words to my family. They barely spoke 2 words to me. Like, my dad hates conflict just as much as I do. I think I get it from him. He literally, like, brushed past me that night. I was like, oh, I'm going to pray for you, and walked away. My mom ain't say a word. Like, we just didn't speak for days. At this point, I'm like, quick segue in my thought process. I'm like, your dean list kid is home from his first year in college where he did amazingly well. And this is where we are. And this is with me knowing what I know about my family. And we'll get to that in the next sentence. Finally have a conversation with my brother on Saturday. And so this was the conversation that started the dozens of conversations. This was the conversation that kind of culminated after the 6 or 7 conversations I had throughout the week. So when my parents found out, my mom calls my grandmother. She then calls my mom. Then calls my other aunt. Then calls my godmother. So I'm getting calls and conversations from people saying, what is this we're hearing about you being gay? We gotta talk. What's going on? I literally had maybe 6 or 7 conversations from Tuesday to Saturday, which culminated in the final conversation with my brother on Saturday. And every single conversation except for one was like, you were on a good track. You're like, all this good stuff. Your parents have done so much for you. Like, why is this happening? I'm like, in my mind, I just felt hurt. I was just like, damn, like this is what I'm dealing with. Like everyone's literally coming at me sideways about not anything I've done, but just who I simply happen to be. And I think my immediate reaction to that was one of, I guess you can call it definitely offensive or defensive, because I immediately wanted to attack everybody. And in my family, we've all made mistakes. There's just a lot of things that happened, and I will not name everything that happened. Statistical things that happen to a black family, black people, black teens, like, gun violence, jail time, like anything you think of that happens in a family has happened. But in my memory, none of it was met with what I was met with that week. Like, I'm talking about getting cussed out by my stepfather, mom crying, silent treatment from my parents. It was like every conversation was just like, and then my brother kind of like put the icing on the cake that morning, because it was like, your parents did all this for you, made sure you got to college, sacrificed so much for you, and this is how you repay them. That was the thought process. I was like, repayment was such and such doing that. Dropping the ball was such and such doing this, and y'all had to do that.
So with the conversations that were had previous to this moment or leading up to this moment, your responses, like what were your responses?
Oh, it was definitely, I denied it every single time.
So it was basically denial. Now, was this denial based off of what you felt was true, or was
this denial was based off of this denial was based on strategic fear. Like I learned at an early age I can't be honest. I gotta hide. I gotta be strategic. And that was something I learned. All of my friends, any of my friends that I befriended that were gay, we automatically just knew we had to code everything. We couldn't speak freely, and it was almost like a game, a fun game of like how we can just blend in and not, so many guys never spoke. You could always tell who was definitely one of us, because they would never really speak, especially around a lot of straight guys, not say a word, or would be the loudest one there. One of the two. You know how to find your people.
Oh yeah.
Right. But we'll never say a word. But I learned we learned at an early age to hide ourselves, to protect ourselves, because you really ain't safe. You don't, if people go through abuse or some type of trauma, trauma is trauma, and a lot of those moments, depending on someone's sensibilities, can be very challenging. So me having to constantly defend myself up until that point, was a lot. But by then it was out and about. And I think, thinking back on it now, the only thing that I didn't like was the fact that for years it was such a hot topic of conversation until it's confirmed. And then what the black family does, my black family, just kind of puts you back in the closet. No one ever addresses it again. Since that Tuesday, since May 2010, my mother has not asked me once. Keep in mind, that's 11 years at this point, almost 12. My mother's not asked me once, is there anybody special in your life? Anybody I need to know about? That conversation has never come up. I've sat there while my parents have supported two brothers through a divorce, multiple relationship issues. I'm there right there, because those are my brothers. I want to be there for them too. But no one's asked me about my personal life. No one's thought to check in about what Dontae got going on. Because you really don't want to know, because you're just uncomfortable with it.
So in your mind, because of course I know that I dealt with similar things or a similar situation with how I guess the moment of actually knowing,
that moment,
the detachment moment, and then you feel it, it's always there, it never goes away,
never.
And then even if there's some type of normalcy where you can have regular conversations, it's never easy to have those conversations about anything pertaining to. And so either you make the choice to sweep it under the rug and say, well, this is just something I can't, confide in my family with, but it turns into something that it's like, okay, well, hey, I'll just keep that to myself and keep that private.
Yeah.
Is there a piece of you that would want to be able to speak freely with your?
No, all of me at this point. I came from years of trying to deny it, then trying to pray it away. Growing up in the church, by the way, I'm a pastor. I'm the son of a pastor. So there's that.
I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
I'm learning so much about my friend here. But I will say this, to my defense, he doesn't like hang around me like that.
Right.
So we're definitely going to change that because we have to hang around each other a little bit more.
We got to catch up.
Oh, you have to hear about my stories. But, you know, I can definitely appreciate hearing that you still have that hope to one day get to that space. What are some of the things that you've done to maybe try to break the ice with it, or have you?
Oh, this is the biggest thing I did. This past summer, I was dating this guy. Surprisingly enough, we actually went to high school together. He was a senior, I was a freshman. There was an attraction, but so much, two different places. I'm still trying to figure out my sexuality, at least come to grips with my sexuality. He just knew I was a freshman. He was like, ooh, hands off, no. So here we are 15 years later. We reconnected and instantly hit it off. So we've been dating for we started dating in March. This was June. And I choreographed my cousin's wedding dance for her husband. And he cut the music for it because he's actually a professional dancer too. He owns a studio, runs a studio, choreographs all over the city, all over the country actually. And she met him via FaceTime. She was like, oh, cousin, is Frank coming to the wedding? I want him to be there. And he was actually working a competition in Orlando. He was able to take off for it because they kept asking him, like, can you please come to the wedding? And I was like, well, in my mind, I was shitting bricks. I was like, hell no, he's not coming to the wedding. Like, unless a man, like, put a ring on it, we ain't doing that. You know, because I was just that nervous to have anyone, like, I'd never done that before, except for one time with my ex-boyfriend. I brought him to we were already in Tampa on a convention, and it was my niece's birthday. I was like, you mind coming to Denise's birthday? He was like, yeah, I'll come. And that was a little awkward because I didn't say, hey guys, this is my boyfriend. I just, he just showed up with me and whatever. But this was different. So I was like, Jarvis, his name's Jarvis. And I was like, if you want to come, I would love you to come. So we get to the parking lot. He was like, you good? I asked him, I said, are you okay? He was like, I'm so nervous. I said, I'm shitting bricks too. I was like terrified. Like you could have sworn I was about to go like before a judge and possibly get a life sentence. That's how it felt.
Wow.
So I remember just walking up to the venue. We walk in, the coding or the blocker was my little niece I had with me. I just had her in my arms walking up. So they just, I didn't think too much about it. We just went in and sat down. But during the reception and all the, the mingling part, like I was just introduced him. I literally walked him over to my table where my entire family was. Like my mom, both my moms were there actually. Both my moms, my grandma, sisters, brother, cousin, like the core. I said, hey guys, this is Jarvis. Jarvis is my mom. Like, and they was like, oh, hey, they were nice. And the whole night, everyone was very welcoming. And like, I was telling people, oh, yo, this is my date, for the night. I'm dating. Like, my sister was like, that's you? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And I didn't feel completely afraid. I just felt like really good. And then my cousin, fucking cousin Bridget. Oh, cousin Bridget. So she pops off because she's there with her girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So she notices, like, we there talking real close. And she's like, cousin. I'm like, what's up, cuz? She was like, come here, let's talk. We talk. Cousin, that's my date. She's like, come here. She was like, real excited. She was like, well, hey, I'm the cousin Bridget. Get used to me. Hey, just like in his face, loving, and really just like made him feel so special. So that was a big, big step for me to just, because we always, like, me and my friends would always say, like, if I bring a guy around, he got to be this. Or if I bring a guy around at this point, we got to be married, or something. So it was always a level of, if I step out, when I step out, it got to be so jaw-droppingly spectacular, no one can question me. Mm-hmm. And that's been the moat for me. Like, that's why I made so much success, because being myself was already a negative. And I think that's a common place I see amongst a lot of my friends, a lot of gay guys, especially gay black boys in the South. You'll see us, we're usually your pageant guys, your presidents, your misters, everythings, and we're overachievers because at a young age, I think, it's my belief, maybe I do research on it, that you're literally taught that your very being is something to be ashamed of. So you do all this other shit. You excel in sports, you excel in everything you can to prove that, like, no, I'm good, I'm dope.
So did any other conversations come of that encounter? Did you?
A few afterwards, like my sister, because keep in mind, I'm not based in Tampa, where I'm from, Tampa, Florida. She goes to a lot of the gay clubs, I guess, to support one of her friends who's a drag queen.
Mm-hmm.
And one night, I'm on FaceTime with Jarvis. He's like, I think your sister's here. And I was like, Piggy? And he was like, yeah. I flipped the camera. I little skinny thing walking by myself. That's her. So yeah, we talked after. She's like, I think I saw your little friend there. She was like, my sister she's a comedian. She's the most outspoken one out of all of my siblings. The one born right before me. And she was like, I thought I saw little Urkel there. I was like, little who? Little Urkel. Cause the suit he wore was like a off color cream with like a bow tie and his pants were kind of high. So she calls him little Urkel. But yeah, I was definitely able to have conversations. But seeing as like since I came out and everything, and in my last relationship, I was actually able to have a lot of open conversations with a few of my family members. My birth mom, my grandmother, and my little sister, Nandi, and her boyfriend, Dontae. I call him Durwood. Our names do so much together. They always ask, like, hey, how's Ron? And that means a lot to me that they ask me about, like, anybody see anybody new? Like, what happened with y'all? Y'all good? Like, they ask. Mm-hmm. Genuinely ask. And for me, that means a lot. Because for a long time, even to now, a lot of my family, my parents still, for their own reasons, they don't. Right. And it fucked with me for a long time. Like, I literally had, like, a breakdown over the summer because, also, you probably don't. I think I was home taking care of my parents because my dad was going through stuff and my mom, both my parents were physically, mentally declining. So we were done filming my last movie we did. I literally jumped in the car, I went home. And I spent 6 weeks down there, just being a caregiver to my parents. Like my day was centered around them. Mm-hmm. I found things for us to do. I cooked, made the appointments, got my mom to and from dialysis every single time she needed to go. Made sure my dad kept himself cleaned up, kept the house cleaned up, kept the laundry done. Like, pretty much did everything they did for me, without asking, because I loved them. But in one day, it was a lot going on. It was just a stressful day. My mom was just being a lot. And I kind of, like, got overwhelmed because I was like, in the last month I've been here just doing all this shit. Like, you've not asked me one time, baby, how are you doing? Mentally, how are you? You okay? You feeling all right? You good? How are you? How is life? The only question I was asked in a lot of this time, since, this thing has shifted drastically with my parents, was like, what is so important in Atlanta you can't come home? And I overheard them. Like I said, I'm an ear hustler. I always hear them talking. It's always when they think I'm asleep, they want to talk shit.
Listen,
and that's what I love
listening. If you see this guy, be careful with your conversations. Make sure that it's through text message or something, because
I'm a Scorpio. Your secrets are safe with me. And so am I. Either way. But yeah, like, and my mom literally said either the night before I was heading back to come here, I hate he's going back to that lifestyle. And that's all they can accumulate everything to. I'm like, it hurt. It was so annoying and frustrating. I was like in tears, just kind of mad. I'm like, I'm literally the one child you have that's doing all of this. I left my life to come here and pour in and make sure you're good because I love you. You got kids 2 minutes away around the corner that haven't been by. I haven't seen them in this house in a month. And this is what it comes down to. Like, we already had a conversation earlier, last year or the year before, and a family of the friend came over and saw my picture on the wall. Like, oh, that's the gay porn, right? And my mom just felt so ashamed. She was like, I'm just trying to figure out where I dropped the ball. I was like, baby, my name rings bells from the NFL to LA. Where did you drop the ball? I work for the government. I've held positions in numerous places. Like, I've done some decent shit, And none of that was to boost or toot my own horn, but it was like to show you that, like, when people see me, I'm a good reflection on you. No one has ever questioned your character or that of my father's knowing me. When have you ever heard a bad review about me?
I haven't heard anything, but I got a review that I'm gonna put in a little later under his picture on Google. But when
we get there,
you know, I tell y'all I ain't gonna say nothing out loud because he gonna hear.
Anyway, an accumulation of all those conversations, that's why now I just live out loud as much as possible. I have 2 younger nephews. I have a lot of nephews. Like I literally 20 nieces and nephews. By like my blood siblings. There's 20 kids.
Thank you, April. Thank you for my few.
And 2 great nephews and 2 great nieces. So the family's huge. But for the younger ones, and my 18-year-old nephew is actually he's actually gay. So they actually had him talk to me because I guess my brother took it really well. Actually, it's his stepson, but it's like he took it very well. They just want him to talk to me because I guess I'm another resource. I'm his uncle. I've always been his uncle. But the hardest conversation out of all of that was having to come out to my nephews.
Well,
having to tell them, and they're hilarious. They're basically me. Mm-hmm. You met my nephews.
Yes, yeah.
So you can understand how that conversation went.
They are characters. Chance, thank you as well for only having one. Okay. Anyway, because
the more the merrier.
Too many. It's too many.
Christmas is a bitch.
I gotta remember these names.
And birthdays. Because they text you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's why I live out loud.
Thank you, April.
Thank you, April. Thank you, Chance. To my 14 siblings, thank you so much for the 50 gifts you've bestowed upon me.
I'm lucky.
But yeah, that's why. All of that is why. Now it's like I wish not to put myself on mute in a way of respect to someone, because me muting, changing, diminishing any part of myself to make someone else feel respected or happy, that's not a good relationship. And I'm not faulting my parents. My parents are fucking amazing. To have a 50-year-old man, 40-year-old woman start over with a crack baby. And I was like, have you ever had to rehabilitate a newborn?
I don't deal with children.
It's a crazy situation. Imagine a baby that just never stops crying at the top of his lungs.
I mean, I wouldn't be that family member.
I wouldn't.
Right. Be that family member. Don't call me. Jesus.
If you a freak, I want you next to me. Move to the music, make love to the beat. Tonight we gon' leave it off there on the floor. That body got me wanting more, more, more. Hold up, yeah. Your body's under voodoo, yeah. Yeah. Your body's under voodoo, yeah.
We are back with Okay, It's Time. And we're just about to wrap up and get everything come to a close. But want to say thank you so much for coming on this show, because this dude is booked and busy. So for him to ever take any time out of any schedule, any day to come and be around me, just even to be my friend, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to be friends, with somebody that you look up to, because you want to ask so much, but then you just be like, well, I don't want to talk too much about it, because it's like working all over again, having to tell me all the stuff that you do,
not at all.
The rooms you in and stuff. But I'm gonna learn some stuff from him. I'm gonna use him.
We gonna elevate each other. That's what we do. We elevate.
And see, again, I ain't that nice. I'm just playing. I help people and I elevate people. If you're serious,
he's a softie.
I ain't soft.
It's a hard shell.
I'm soft, right?
He's a softie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't.
And I ain't gonna be soft here long. Listen, it is time for us to have more representation. It is time for us to have more conversation. It is time for us to embrace our brothers, sisters, cousins, friends, family, every single person, all walks of life. No matter what you choose to do in your personal life and in your private life, find the people that are closest to you and love on them as much as you can. Because listen, you never know when the conversation is the last conversation that you'll have with these people. And shoulda, coulda, woulda will never bring these people back. This has been an episode of Okay, It's Time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Take care, y'all. Oh,
That was
good.
good.
I love that. Wow.